The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico, and the rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazell was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified. UFO Classified. No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome and happy Fantopia Friday. I am Erica Lukes, and I'm always thrilled to spend my Friday night with all of you. I have people from all over the world sending me messages every week telling me they appreciate the show and they're excited and they want to learn more. And this means the world to me. This is why I'm here. I believe that, well, I know that my audience is incredibly intelligent, thoughtful, very, very ethical, and they really, all of you want to move things forward in a progressive manner. My guest tonight is pivotal in doing so, and I cannot wait to have Fran Ridge here to give you all information about important historical aspects of this field and to talk about the way we are going to move it forward with groundbreaking technology. Thank you all again for being here. And I want to say special hello to Northern UFOs, Mark, Susan, Lib, Doug Down Under, Amy Collins, Cowpie Tentacle Hooks. I've got to just say, you've got to answer me in chat, but how did you come up with that name? It's quite interesting. But thank you for being here. You can find me on UFOclassified.com. Feel free to send me a message there, or you can always find me on Facebook at UFO Classified. Tonight is one of those nights that I hope you will remember, and I hope that each of you will understand the importance of what my guest this evening is going to share with all of you. Fran Ridge has been in this field for a long, long time. He is an experienced and respected researcher and investigator who has been involved in serious study of the UFO phenomena in an official capacity since 1960, when he started out as head of the NICAP subcommittee, which is the National Investigations Committee on Aerial Phenomena in Indiana. His 7-man team was one of the rapid response teams listed by the University of Colorado UFO Project in 1968. Fran served as state section director for the Mutual UFO Network from 72 to 86, and later became MUFON state director. That was 86 to 95. As head of the MUFON Indiana group, he was in charge of Indiana's rapid deployment team of over 30 FIs. That's incredible. They gleaned from over 150 hand-selected trainees. Ridge was also, and this is incredible, this is so cool, he was also a field investigator for QFOS, which is the J. Allen Hynek Center for UFO Studies. He's investigated hundreds of important cases, and his computerized regional sighting information database lists over 4,000 entries for the region covering Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, Kentucky, and Tennessee. Ridge simultaneously operated and directed the UFO FILTER CENTER and UFO detection effort, which is called MADAR. That project was started in 1970 and is now making groundbreaking progress. And Fran's going to tell us all about that tonight. In 97, Fran became the official, he began official work in NICAP, and he has done this it's incredible. If you have not been to NICAP, please go there. This is an important website with a lot of historical information. The NICAP website, which was authorized on December 15th, Fran began all of these projects, a major special evidence peer-reviewed by a team that he set up, which is his A-team, incredible researchers on the A-team. The NICAP site documents evidence for internet use based on materials collected by NICAP. He is also project coordinator for the Nuclear Connection Project, a small group of researchers working on reports of UFOs over nuclear sites. I mean, there's nothing. Fran, is there anything that you haven't done in this field?
Well, there's so much to do. I mean, when I first got involved with UFOs and gave talks to the local groups, it was very easy to just discuss what that you were aware of, and you looked like an expert because everybody else out there knew nothing. I mean, there was just very few of us, out there in the community, for example. So when you gave a talk, you were the one that knew it all. But since then, it has gotten so complicated, and everybody's had to take a piece of the puzzle and work on it extensively in a certain area. And now it's so complicated, I would have a problem just talking about the UFO field itself. I've just been distracted into doing specific things. But I wanted to make a few announcements to start off this evening. This important and special edition of UFO Classified, being aired on November 10th, tonight. This month marks 60 years ago was the great EM wave of 1957. This is one heck of a coincidence. And also wanted to announce that Salt Lake City, node number 112 is now up and running. And Erica, you might make a comment about that.
Could I just tell you, today in my mailbox, I had a special surprise, and I can't even tell you how awesome it was to open that package. I have my own MADAR unit, and now Salt Lake City is on the map, and this is fantastic because Salt Lake, Utah has really interesting things going on, and I really believe that now that I am investigating and I have MADAR, that this is going to help me tremendously, and then we can look at all of the different data coming in all across the country and really make some progress. So thank you so much.
Well, with what you're being able to do for us, it was really something that we just had to do. And the third thing I wanted to mention, that makes right now 20 units. Our goal was to have 24 up and running by the end of the year. And right now we have 20 units with 17 online. And it's just a matter of days before the other 3 will be up. So that's going to be pretty cool. We have 1 in Canada and 19 in the United States. The bulk of these are on the eastern quadrant, actually the northeast quadrant. And they're so dense that when you look at the map, and I invite everybody that's capable of doing that, I can't do it tonight because my internet is down, but when you go to madar.site, you'll see the big U.S. map, which covers also Canada and Mexico, and you'll see the conglomeration of the devices on the northeast quadrant, and they're overlapping because the dots are so big. Now, if you go to the upper left and hit the plus sign, you can zoom in, and then you can drag the image to that particular portion and increase the size. Where they get farther apart, you can actually see how many devices there are in that one small area in New Hampshire and Massachusetts and Connecticut. So it is, we are proceeding very well. I don't know how many people out there are aware of what we went through. We started to produce this idea in September of 2016, and we were 6 months into it when a person that was working with us went rogue with it, and we had to start all over. And in February we did, And it took us another 6 months to redo what we had to do, and it turned out even better. And right now, there's just so much to do. We're finding so many ways to improve and use what we're doing. So it's going to be very exciting. 2018 is going to be very exciting.
Yes, it is. And I have to say that this new unit is incredibly well made. I mean, this is slick. This is not a big, I mean, this is the size of a deck of cards. It's a little thicker, obviously, but it is, I mean, it's, you can tell that this thing is durable, and I'm just excited. I'm staring at it right now.
Well, the industry has made things so compact. And as you know, a cell phone can do so much, and everybody's taking advantage of all the apps and everything with cell phones. So to have something about that size doing what we're doing right now and being capable of doing, it's when you look at the MADAR 1 and 2, the MADAR 2 had several monitors. It had a quad processor. It had cameras, and I forget exactly how many pieces, but it took two small rooms to house everything. And the data that we're getting right now is pretty close to what we had then, only in better. The only thing we don't have right now is we don't have a radiation reading tied into it, but we're right around the corner with that. So. That's
incredible. And I just wanted to mention, you have your core MADAR team, and Rich Vitello, who is the project communications and alert officer, has played a pivotal role. And I have a tremendous amount of respect for Rich. He has done a lot in the field for a long, long time. And he's also been a very close acquaintance and friend of yours as well.
Oh, yeah. Rich has been with me for quite a few years. I can't even tell you what year it was that we joined efforts. And then as we look back, the years keep getting, farther and farther apart. And we have 5 gentlemen, 4 that Rich brought on board so that we wouldn't have a problem like we had before. Instead of depending on one person, we have 5 tech support people who are very talented. And they're all working with, most of them have jobs and things they have to do, so this is extra work for them, And I'm very proud of them. And we have a conference call every Tuesday night for about an hour, sometimes an hour and a half. And very seldom do we miss one. And those are very productive. I used to write a report on them the following day, and I've got to the point where I can't even do that because there's just so much going on. But,
well, and I just have to say that, you and I have had many conversations, and I've always just been really impressed and struck with the fact that you have sacrificed, you and Rich and Michael Swords and Barry Greenwood and Paul Dean, all of you have sacrificed such a tremendous amount, and you've dedicated your life. And as most of us know who get into this, it takes a great toll. It's also incredibly rewarding, but this is, putting your own money out there, putting your time, sacrificing it from your family, your loved ones, your business, whatever you're doing. And so for you to have done that for decade after decade is really a testament to the type of person that you are. And I think all of us, especially a younger generation, need to really just hold all of you in high regard.
Well, I appreciate it, and we appreciate it. I don't know where the passion comes from that drives us. Everybody has something they like to do or want to do, and why we would do that. I can't take credit for that, but I take advantage of that. And I was involved in as you mentioned earlier at the beginning of the show, doing so many things, and then I wrote a book called Regional Encounters that described all that investigation and research with the 4,000 cases in the Midwest. The whole idea of that was to build a database for MADAR, which was one device. Think about that. One device. So if something would happen, we could go back to that database and maybe track the direction or where an object came from and what it did and so on. And at that point in the 90s, I wasn't getting burned out, but I had this desire to do something a little different, and I was really going to kind of tone things down a little and get into lunar research. And I got me a team of gentlemen, and they all put in some money in the pot. We bought a super telescope. Yeah, that's when it really got serious, and I didn't let up on the loon scan thing, but we got into intensified work where we had to produce detailed reports and had to take documents that we did find and produce PDF files so they would not disappear. And we would connect all that data to what we call a case summary or case directory. And we started working on radar cases and airline cases, and it just got a lot more intense after the turn of the century. So in 2014, though, I decided to start all over with the MADAR project, which had been kind of shut down since the mid-90s, and started MADAR 2. And after a couple of years, we started running into some new ideas. And in April of last year, I got this idea that I knew would work, and we started working on it in September of 2016. And that's where we're at today. But yeah, it's been trying. It requires a lot of work. I used to get up a lot earlier, spend a lot of hours at it, but it was I don't know where the drive came from, but it was just something I wanted to do, and just kept on doing it. So it's like eating an elephant too.
Well, it is, and this field. You have an experience, that pulls you into this, and I think for all of us listening, for you and for myself, I mean, it takes a hold of you, and I want to know everything I can. I've been blessed with finding good friends like you that can give me information and help me progress as a researcher. But there are a lot of obstacles to weed through, and to have to be committed year after year, decade after decade, to see this through and to make incredible contributions. That really, it's exceptional. And I just wanted to stress to all of my listeners that we have an obligation as younger people in the field to understand the work that has been laid out before us. And we have to take that work and move forward. And the cool thing about Fran and Rich is they are making a huge difference, and what they've done with MADAR has not been done before. And this is exactly where we need to go with research, with pushing the boundaries. So this is a cool time. And I hope you're just, go have some champagne. I hope you guys are so proud of yourselves.
Well, we're so busy and so excited about it that we're more concerned about what might happen if we don't have a particular option or a field covered by the device. If something would happen, for instance, we can and are in fact gathering data on the local geomagnetic, electromagnetic field, and the atmospheric pressure, barometric pressure is being logged right with it, and then the compass bearing, and we're hoping to get several other options added to that rather quickly, because if we'd have a wave, we don't normally have another chance. It's been a long time since we've had a sighting wave. Of course, we may not even have one now that every time you turn around, there's a camera running. And whoever is behind this, and I'm convinced that someone is, they don't have the ability to just come and go when they want to, like they used to back in the 50s. Someone might be able to run and get a camera out of the trunk of the car or whatever back then, and like in the case of the Utah film with the officer that took those images. But today there are cameras literally everywhere, and if something did show up, it would be easy to image them.
Mm-hmm. Exactly, and the Delbert Newhouse video, I mean, that is something that is incredible in Tree Mountain. And I encourage all of you, if you've not seen that, it's available on YouTube, so please see that. That film was scrutinized. I mean, we're talking hundreds, thousands of hours were put into that, and then trying to tear it apart, and at the end of the day, nobody could truly figure out what those objects were. And interestingly enough, those are objects that we are still seeing reported, and I want to talk to you a little bit more about that. We have 1 minute to break, and I want to just say, get into chat. You can call in to KCOR, ask questions for Fran. This is really important. You've got somebody on the line that can give you so much information. The number is 702-425-9230. We will be back on the other side of the break.
Stand by. This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes. The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified with Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
Paranormal radio never sounded so good. Join the hosts of the American Ghost Hunter Show each week as they shoot from the hip without holding back.
They're kind of unpredictable, not like the rest of us.
Live every Thursday night, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, right here on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Come hear some of the hottest authors, investigators, as well as TV and radio personalities from around the world on the American Ghost Hunter Show.
Our survival depends upon it.
Hauntings, UFOs, cryptos. If it's branded paranormal, we'll be talking about it. The American Ghost Hunter Show. Live Thursday nights, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The only question you have to ask yourself, are you ready for it?
Yeah! All right!
I adopted Bento in 2010 from a shelter. A lot of people know him as Keyboard Cat.
That's just one adoption story that started at a shelter. Visit theshelterpetproject.org to find a pet near you. Brought to you by Maddie's Fund, the Humane Society of...
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
What if maintaining a healthy weight was as simple as drinking a cup of coffee? With Valentis coffee, it's that easy. Harvested from the world's most pristine coffee farms and packed with the purest ingredients on earth, Valentis takes losing weight to a completely new level. At Valentis, we believe everyone deserves a chance to be healthy and fit. It's pure, natural, healthy, and delicious. Click the Valentis Healthiest Coffee banner on the KCOR Digital Radio Network website and take the Weight Loss Guarantee Challenge. Valentis Coffee, simply the world's healthiest coffee.
Here's what happened on the last episode of Three Guys, No Ties.
All right, people from Chicago have proved to be the most likely to have had sex in the shower, according to them.
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, we proved
in the
shower.
survey, 86% of Chicago's inner city residents which is almost, all of whom are registered Democrats. They say that they have enjoyed sex in the shower. And the other side of it is the other 14% said that they hadn't been to prison yet.
3 Guys, No Ties. Wednesday nights, 7 to 9 Pacific, on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
I'm jumping in with my clothes on.
Most party fouls are pretty dumb, but if you decide to drink and drive underage, you could lose your license and your freedom. Learn more at ultimatepartyfoul.org. Brought to you by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration.
You're listening to UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts.
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back and happy Fantopia Friday. I'd like to thank all of my friends, and it is so exciting to see the chat room getting bigger and bigger every week and reaching more people. I know that even if you're not in chat, there are some really special people like Irv who listen every week, and I appreciate you very much. Hoska, all of my friends, it's incredible to me, and I want to just say again how important it is to me that all of you are kind, intelligent, respectful. That is truly a breath of fresh air in the field of ufology, and I know that we can move things forward in a positive manner. I am here with somebody who is an innovator, a groundbreaker, dedicated. He's an experienced and respected researcher, one of the best in the world. Mr. Fran Ridge is here, and he is talking about the multiple anomaly detection and automated recording device, which he's been working on since 1970. This is incredible. It has produced some incredible results. WOW comes to mind, the WOW signal. And we're going to talk a little bit more about what it does and why it is so important and why we all need to get one. But we have a question in chat, Fran. I want to ask you this really quickly. What types of ionizing radiation have been measured from UFO sites such as alpha, beta, gamma, etc.?
There's not been too many where alpha and beta is recorded, and of course the gamma is the more common, and it can travel longer distances. Your alpha and beta only travel like a sheet of paper would stop a beta particle or alpha particle, and a beta particle would actually travel a little farther than that. But radiation is sort of a disappointing aspect in some ways, but then again, you wouldn't expect someone that's intelligent to be leaving radioactive debris around. So I was always cautious when I ran into something that suggested radiation might have been involved. You would think there'd be something wrong with a power plant or something like that leaking. We had one case in southern Illinois where a boy and his girlfriend were driving home from a drive-in movie and were chased by a UFO in 1963 at Keens, Illinois, pretty close to Wayne City. And the object, when it passed over the car, caused the speedometer to move back and forth, and it was a electronic type speedometer, and the radio crackled and buzzed when the object passed over. So when the Air Force investigated the case, we also investigated it. The Air Force checked for a magnetic signature, and apparently they did get some evidence of a magnetic signature, but the most important thing was they were calling off what the local witnesses claimed were radiation readings. 2 point something for the front, 4 point something for the engine area, and 6-point for the rear. And, what would cause there to be some type of residual radiation, I don't know. But we're making sure that if something like that does happen, we will capture that as well as the barometric pressure. So that's one item that we're going to add to the devices as soon as we can. We've got one in mind right now that we could probably use, but we're trying to wrap up the phase that we're at right now.
So we have another question from Libertas, who's always asked really thoughtful questions. He wants to know, how do the devices work and how far does each one reach?
That's the second part of that question. Is probably the most common question that we get. It's interesting because the device doesn't reach out. It's the UFO that's producing the disturbance, and the device is the receiver. It's just the opposite, and that depends again on the energy level of the object. If the object is, turning on a lot of power for some reason, or in some cases it may actually be directing a beam. It's really kind of hard to, at this point, to say what is actually happening. But the 1957 wave, where they were stopping cars around the Levelland, Texas area, it looks like it was deliberate. So it wasn't the fact that they were just flying near the automobiles. It looked like they were putting on some type of a demonstration. And I've often thought if in some cases they're trying to disable a car or stop a car so they can perform an abduction. So in any case, the EM level or the EM field comes from the UFO, and then the device actually picks up that disturbance in the local magnetic field, which is very, very small.
And that is so, it's interesting. And I have not, honestly, Fran, I haven't seen so many great and really intelligent questions in the chat room, which this just goes to show you how wonderful the audience is tonight. So this is really, really cool. I also had someone ask, Northern UFOs, how do we get these devices?
They just go to the NICAP site and go to the shop page. Just click on the page where they usually buy caps and things like that. And we have the MADAR unit there, and also on the MADAR site, which is nicap.org/madar.htm, and they can go right there and read about it. And there's a couple of pages where they can actually go to PayPal and order it. Pretty easy to do. And the thing that really staggers my mind is the fact that MADAR 1 and MADAR 2 took hundreds and thousands of dollars to develop and put into work, where these simple devices are around $180, and they can do so much. So you just go to the PayPal button and order one.
Well, and I think this will be really, really cool because, like Northern UFOs, there's so many people out here who want to play a part in this. And, we all understand that getting involved with organizations who are just looking at kind of the short-sighted end of the thing, sitting behind a computer, investigating one case and closing it. That's not the way we're going to really, truly progress. And we have to have the ability to collect data like you have now with MADAR. We can all do that. And then for me as an investigator, when something hits on MADAR, I can really truly analyze the cases that are coming in at that time. And that just gives so much more importance to each individual case.
Something we've always needed an early warning system. And that was the whole idea of MADAR originally, to sound an alarm so that you would know something's going on in your local area, and you could grab whatever equipment you have and people who are part of your team and go out and gather more data. And handheld data is very useful and very important. This device is not actually a field unit yet, but we're trying a couple units out in an effort to develop a field unit. That's one of the reasons why we were hoping that you could, I don't know if you want to announce where you're going to take the device, but all you have to do is unplug the device and write it in the logbook that you have done so, and then take it to the location where you're going and plug in the device and log that off as well. Now, the data will show an interruption in the signal and an interruption in the data feed. So it pretty well explains, but it doesn't, of course, know exactly where it is at. We program them before they go out. We know the coordinates, the latitude and longitude, where the device is going to go, but it doesn't know that it's going to be moved to a location 5 miles away or 100 miles away. But eventually, and I thought about this, eventually we could put a chip in there with the GPS, and the latitude and longitude that is changing constantly would be substituted in where we normally put in the latitude and longitude, and it would track the device, almost like UPS track their shipping, and it would know where it's at. So, got a lot of ideas.
Well, see, and that's really cool, because for me, I just got back from Hessdalen, Norway. I've been to several active locations, and my goal is doing field research and having the ability to take this unit, unplug it, and then go to a location where there has been, decades of historical reports of phenomena, getting it in there, getting readings. I think that's going to be really an incredible tool as an investigator.
Oh, yeah. I want to point out, though, since we're not really at the field unit stage, first of all, building a power supply for that would be simple. But you would have to store the data on the hard drive, which it does anyway. And then when you got to a location where you could Wi-Fi it in or plug it into your router, then it would feed it to the server. So it'd be an interruption in the data, but it would be complete when all the data is transmitted to the server. So it's going to happen. It's really going to happen. Another thing I want to point out is when you were at Hessdalen, if you would have had a device there, instead of taking the people away from the North American map, there's a lot of ocean space to the left and right that we could use. We could put a dot there. And we know that node number, in fact, we could identify it maybe with a different number too, a different type of number. But you could put that location at least be on the map or below the map, and we would be reading what's going on in other parts of the world. But eventually, those parts of the world will be under scrutiny, like we're watching in the United States right now.
That would be that's really important, and I look forward to the challenge of trying to get these in specific areas like Hessdalen and other places in the United States. I have a couple more questions. Do you maintain a contact list for those that have the devices?
Yes. As soon as they get on board, they receive an introductory and welcome aboard letter. And we put them on what we call a device list, so that just the people that have the devices get particular communications and can communicate back and forth. I also put them on the bigger MADAR list, which is around 45 people. And, of course, most of those don't have devices. So, yeah, that way everybody can sort of chip in and have some comments, criticisms. And at the same time, a lot of the people on the MADAR list might decide, well, it's time for me to get on board. So
I think that's exciting. And I mean, honestly, if you look at, if I'm going to spend money, which is, I mean, none of us have a lot of money to truly spend. I want to make sure that it's on good equipment or equipment that can really make a difference in what we're doing. And I think this is it. I have one more question from Libertas. He says, how do you obtain the information from the various devices?
How do we get information from the devices?
Mm-hmm.
The device itself samples the local magnetic field and geomagnetic field 15 times a second. And then when an abnormality occurs, it goes into the alert status for 15 minutes and is, of course, recording the date and time in universal time code. It also has the barometric pressure in pascals, and it stores it on the local hard drive, on the device's hard drive, but it's also transmitting the data to the server. So it's just like a cell of your body that's transmitting information to the brain, and it's right now we have 20 of them. Next year, who knows, might have 100 of them. But this is really exciting because, for many, many years there was only one device, and that was MADAR 1 and MADAR 2. You didn't mention it a while ago, but I know that was another thing that was probably on your mind. Potential abductees or suspected abductees. This would be great to have, in the home. So
wouldn't that be fascinating?
Yes, I know that they have tried it. They have tried different methods to record things that are going on, but I think they're so obvious that it might thwart something happening. And it's not that they really want it to happen. It's just if they want to get information, they don't want a lot of gadgetry stored around the room. So this is, as you said, it's very small, and the only thing you have to do when you place it is keep it away from electronics and your router and computers, and we're talking, in just a matter of feet, not anything drastic. However, one person I think went as far as 25 feet away. But if you have animals, they might walk in and sniff and bump it and set it off, but it won't stay in the alert status very long. It goes back to the blue dot. Those that are looking at the screen right now, I don't know how many people have access to their computers, but the dots are blue and they have node numbers on them, which is assigned by the server when they get on board. And there's one in the upper left in Seattle. It's node 100. I won't mention the gentleman's name, but he's having a lot of problems with his because of the location to some of his gadgetry. So he is trying to get it set where it's more advantageous.
So you have mentioned to me that the goal really is to get these devices around areas of high activity or around. To elaborate on that, because I know you can tell me where specifically your goals are to have these.
Yeah, I thought about missile fields. I think that's the population density's less there, but I would really like to have as many as possible in the Dakotas, Wyoming and places like that where the big missile fields are. We've got a lot of devices on the northeast quadrant, and they're starting to develop in the Midwest. We've got 4 right now in the Midwest. We've got 1 in Texas. It's hard to predict where activity might be, so you can't say, well, let's put one there because there's a high priority or high probability. in the older days, you could probably do that. We had 5 states: California, Ohio, New Mexico, Florida, and Illinois, and those were places where we would have been, very tempted to put devices. So right now you could have one in Nebraska, and something could happen there. You just don't know. But I'm encouraging people to get a device if they're satisfied with what it's doing for them and us, and they've got somebody local, and by that I mean someone 10, 15 miles away that is interested. It would be good for them to talk them into getting a device, because that gives you a local group that has more than one device, which would be very advantageous,
That would be, and I want to talk specifically. I want you to break it down again. What is MADAR collecting? What data are you after?
It's originally the whole idea was to get changes in the local magnetic field, because there's been so many instances where UFOs have affected the local field. NICAP found that there were about 110 cases, EM cases, so we knew that there were electromagnetic effects. And then Mark Roger from CUFOS found over 500 cases where UFOs were associated with EM effects and automobile ignition system problems. And then Dr. Richard Haynes had 3,000 aircraft sightings, and 185 of them involved compass changes. So, we're looking for changes in the local electromagnetic field, because it's very minute, so it doesn't take a whole lot to disturb that field. And it's panned out. We had over 24 cases with MADAR, and in several instances there were UFOs involved. So that is the primary thing. As we got more into this, we found out that we had the potential of measuring the barometric pressure, but we didn't think that it would really be that advantageous. But we thought, well, while we had it, maybe we might discover that there is something going on with BMP. And it turns out the reason why we didn't know about barometric pressure is because nobody asked the right questions on the UFO questionnaires. But if you said, did your ears ring or pop, or several other things that would indicate changes in barometric pressure, we found those sightings starting to pop up. So there have been cases, and I think Project Hazelland found several instances like that. So those that's 3 things we're looking for: local magnetic field changes, to see how the compass needle's moving back and forth, as it has in over 150 cases that we know of, and to check the barometric pressure. And then, of course, logged with that is the universal time code, and we know exactly when it took place, how long it happened, and etc.
And when you first started this, I mean, this was back in 1970 when you really dug in and decided this is what you wanted to do. Shortly after, you had a really profound, even though you didn't know it at the time, there was something that happened with regards to data collection and MADAR that is absolutely incredible. And when we get back, we're getting ready to go to break here pretty quickly, but I want you to talk about that, because this is huge, the wow signal and what MADAR detected. And I will say, I know that you and I have talked about this personally, and you were beyond tickled, thrilled about this, because this really drove home to you the importance of what you're doing with MADAR.
Yes.
And I love it. And I know, and I've got a couple people in the chat room that they will be ordering these devices tonight. And I can't wait, because we keep in close communication, and I think this is going to be a very great effort for all of us to really get in there, do field research, and then to look at the data that MADAR is collecting, and I'm so thrilled, A, that you're my friend and mentor, and I can learn from you, and that you have dedicated your life to really making a difference and pushing things forward. So I want to say, please get into the chat room, ask questions. We're going to get ready to take our longer break. But again, I'm Erica Lukes. I'm here with Francis Ridge. And, thank you for supporting me. We will catch you on the other side of the break.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at ufoclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.
Now, broadcasting in digital HD radio.
The disc landed at a ranch at Corona, New Mexico. The rancher turned it over to the Air Force. Rancher W.W. Brazil was the man who discovered the saucer.
What I thought was a star began coming in my direction at a very rapid rate of speed.
The unidentified object, which some sources thought might be a blimp, moved slowly down the Pacific coast from Santa Monica and disappeared south of Long Beach.
I saw a UFO, and it went down the river, turned right at the United Nations, turned left, and then down the river.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
No more plausible deniability. Fact, fiction, or the truth. You decide. And now, the new voice of the high desert, the hostess of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes.
Welcome back and happy Fantopia Friday, my friends. I'm Erica Lukes. Happy to be here on the best digital broadcasting network on the planet. I want to give a shout out to my producer, Tina Marie, who is exceptional. I love being here. I love being around women who have integrity and a station that wants to grow and support everyone involved. I couldn't be happier to be on KCOR. And I also am thankful to all of my friends from all over the world for listening, for getting involved, for taking an active interest in the most important subject that we could ever truly have to deal with. It is vital at this point in time that we get good information, that we learn from people who have put in decades of work to researching, to preserving historical archives. All of these things are important. We need to instill a sense of passion in a younger generation, give them information, and move forward. And my guest tonight has made groundbreaking strides with all of this. He has spent decades in the field. He began in 1960. He is a respected researcher and investigator involved in the serious study of the UFO phenomena. I am here with Mr. Fran Ridge, and he is talking about something that is exciting. I got my MADAR unit today, so now Salt Lake is on the MADAR map. And Fran, first of all, congratulations. I know you've worked so hard on this for decades, and I honestly, I really, to get this and to open the envelope and to have it and to hook it up and all of these things, it's special for me to be involved in this.
Well, I gotta say this. I mean, I came up with the idea, but without the team of special advisors that I have, I could never have done it. I could never have done it. So I owe them. I'm really indebted to them. The UFO situation for many years has gone basically covert. I mean, you can go to the National UFO Reporting Center or MUFON, and you can see a lot of reports true, but when back in the 70s and 80s, the type of sightings that we were getting were were very impressive, and those type of sightings we're not getting, and it's just simply because I believe that the phenomena has gone more covert because there's so much electronics and different types of cameras available and actually running in surveillance areas. So what we're trying to do is eliminate them, betray their presence with MADAR. And I got a feeling this is going to be very interesting in the years ahead. So I'm encouraging everybody to, if they can, take part in this project. I don't think you'll be disappointed.
Well, I agree too. I mean, this, we've kind of reached a place, again, you and I have talked about this, a stagnant place in the field of quote unquote ufology, which, we could go on about that, but we've unfortunately been spinning our wheels for a long time, and we are so focused on one single case and proving that beyond a shadow of a doubt that we are missing all of the data. And, I don't know whether that's just short-sightedness on the part of people that are looking into this, but you and I both know that it's critical that we stop that because we have enough data. We know that this is real. We know that it's happening. So how do we progress beyond that? And to me, using a device like MADAR is a really great step to achieving our goals.
Yes, as I mentioned too the other day, progress comes from doing things differently. And if you continue to do things the same way, you'll get the same results. And even though we're all convinced that something's going on, we're determined to find out not what happened, but what happened 10 years ago or 20 years ago or a year ago. We want to know what's happening right now. So we're in a position now. We can't afford radar, but we can sure go a little different route and try to give everybody an early warning, so possibly they could go out and get more data. Now, we didn't mention a while ago how you're alerted. The way it's set up, you will receive a email that tells the operator that something occurred. So you've got a written, documented report, which is very important because if you just received that text message, you might lose that, or you might, not notice it. So we're working on the text messaging idea as well. It's just right around the corner because right now we're trying to figure out how to do both at the same time, and our tech support people are convinced that it can be done, and that's what we're striving for. So if you receive the alert, then you can do like we did with MADAR 1 and 2. You instead of an alarm or siren going off, you get a text message on your cell phone, and then you, of course, if you've been on a business trip or something and you're 100 miles from home, you at least know that the device went off, and then you can go back and check your data to see what actually transpired. So the operators will also be able to go in and look at the data over a long period. I don't know how far back we can do this. You can punch in on there how many lines of data you want to look at, but most of it will be stored on the server, so it doesn't get lost. It's just how much do you want to have right on the device. But
and that's incredible. And I want to go back to, because I mentioned before we went to the break, about the wow signal and the significance of what happened. Can you explain that event or describe that to our listeners? Because this is really, really cool.
I still haven't gotten over it. Some people would probably not believe that it was actually 32 years before I found out what happened. but because that sounds like, you know, a good way to create a hoax. But it was 1977, and there were a number of MADAR detections that summer. There were 7 between the beginning of July and the middle of August. And in one instance, there were sightings 50 miles south and 50 miles northwest of the area at the time the device went off. I found this out from the local police department. They were picking up radio calls. So we know UFOs were being reported. Nothing really dramatic. And I actually didn't think that we were going to get anything of importance, because by the time we had 7 instances, and the last one was like, you know, in the wee hours on August the 15th, and the alarm went off, and I simply shut off the siren and let the recorders record the data. And when we played the data back, it was a disturbance that lasted 3 minutes and 29 seconds. It was an 18 pulse disturbance, and the radiation doubled. And back then, a double radiation reading was considered important. Now they've raised it. I guess there's so much radiation in the air, they had to change the standard, so it's now 2.5. So anyway, that was interesting to know that 2 different ways, radiation and EM, in total different ways, were showing an abnormality. But for years, that's the way it stayed. It just laid there that way. And in 2012, I received an email in the routine work of correspondence, and a gentleman told me, he says, "Fran, do you realize that at the exact moment that your device, MADAR 15, it was the MADAR event 15, was detected, the WOW signal occurred in Ohio?" And it just blew my mind. Here we are, 310 miles away from one of the big ears for listening for signals from space. And Jerry Eman he was like me. He wasn't aware that anything had happened until the next morning when he was looking at the charts, and he saw that the WOW signal, or that the signal had happened in that in those 50 channels of the sodium or hydrogen. And he wrote "WOW" on the chart. It became worldwide news. Unfortunately, I wasn't aware of it, and even if I had seen it on the news the next day, I don't know if I would have placed any significance or any connection because of the distance and all. But for that to have happened at the same time, something big was going on. There's no doubt in my mind, and I haven't gotten over it yet.
And that is so incredible. And I think just to have these conversations, these kind of conversations with you, and to hear you talk about this, that was, I mean, it gives me the goosebumps just to know that you have been so dedicated to do this, and then this happened, and this confirms everything that you've worked for. That's huge.
Very disappointing too, because I wanted to call Jerry Eman and tell him what had happened, and just to see if he would be interested in comparing notes. But in the process of calling someone, you have to explain who you are, because they're going to want to know something. They don't want some crackpot just calling them. So in the process of identifying yourself, they're going to know that you're connected with the UFO and don't want to talk to you. So what happened was the conversation never took place, and I don't know if the man's still alive or not, but I would still love to talk to him about it, because he was wanting, and they were wanting to see if they could pick up a signal from space that might show some form of intelligence, and they were waiting on that to happen. And when the Ozma signal came in, of course, it was logged, and that's as far as it went. And if they thought that there was a connection, they would have to say, what does this mean, you know? And I'm sure it meant something, because over 310 miles, you had several different ways something was going on that affected readings without, you know, doing what would ordinarily be obvious to everybody, and then that would have been way too much. That would be almost like a coronal mass ejection. Then they could say, well, that was a natural phenomenon. So this was so selective that something was going on. And the interesting thing about it, within months, Close Encounters of the Third Kind came out.
And in that, I will just say that I just saw the re-release of Close Encounters, and that now that I'm watching that, you know, how many years later, it was incredible to see, you know, the orange spheres, everything that happened, and Steven Spielberg just, I think, nailed a lot of different aspects of that. But wow, and you've lived through all of this. That's what is incredible to me.
I was telling you the other day that people read books and they learn all about UFOs, and they become somewhat an expert if they read and study hard enough, and then they can also get involved with a research group and do serious investigation and look people in the eye and hear what they have to say, and they become aware that something really is going on. But you add one thing to that. If something happens to them, then it's very difficult for them to turn away. And I've had things happen to me. That's why if someone approaches me on what I believe and what I think, I'm a little more vocal about it. I'm not embarrassed to say it, because they may be waiting for that one piece of information, or that very special report, or that document that's going to prove everything, you know, the smoking gun. I don't have to wait on that. I know that probably they'll eventually find it. But when things have happened to me that convince me, even without investigating UFOs and even without reading the books, all it took for me was to have the experience, and not too many people get that opportunity.
They don't, but I think you bring up a really important point. I mean, we see a lot of infighting in the UFO community, and I think we've got this diehard faction that is preaching the scientific method, which, of course, yes, this is important. This is how we gather information and move things forward. But at the same point in time, that is also what's holding us back. And I think that a lot of the people that are talking about the importance of the scientific method, these are people that have never had an experience. And so how do we, as people that have had profound life-changing experiences, and there are many people like this all over the world, how do we bridge the gap between mainstream science and between pushing the boundaries and moving forward and all of these things?
Well, I've learned that since over 50 years have passed since I got involved, and thought that the answer was just around the corner, that if that can happen, then very possibly maybe we don't have to know the answer. You know, it would satisfy us, but maybe this is something that's we'll go to their own and have our own close encounter one of these days, and as we pass on into the next world, we'll never know, except, you know, maybe we would know a lot more about everything at that point. But who says we're supposed to know all the answers? I thought when Kehoe said that there was a breakthrough coming and announced it in the NICAP UFO Investigator, within a couple of years there'd be congressional hearings and then people would be told the truth and everything, but never happened.
And that is interesting, and I think it's it was fascinating for me to go to Norway and to spend time with Erling Strand, who has made significant contributions to this field and has been very brave in doing so, like you have. But I think that it's interesting to see what they do in other parts of the world, because they are about sharing data. They are not about doing what we do in America, which is keeping data for ourselves and then having this kind of ego-driven, this is mine, and I have to be right all the time. I mean, they accept the fact that this is a new way to push boundaries. And I wish we could find that common ground in America and stop all of this nonsense. And I'm sure a lot of that has been put in place by the powers that be. So we just lost Fran. So we've had some interesting technical difficulties tonight. We're going to get him back on here pretty quickly, but I want to just throw this out there. I know you're listening in chat and just on the radio. How do you feel we could make ufology, make this subject in America more palatable? And how could we get the importance of this work in America put forward? And how do we stop all of this dysfunctional nonsense going on in the field? I think these are questions we need to ask. And then when we bring that up, I see Tom DeLong and his name coming up in chat. And now we've got a whole new game going on here. So we've got Tom DeLong making the big announcement that To the Stars Academy is here, and he has several key players from the CIA, the NSA, that are involved with this organization, and their goal is to harness the technologies and to use that to help mankind. It is also, I think, very critical right now to understand that we have different things going on, different dynamics. And even though Fran isn't back in here, I'm going to talk about this because this is important. We have many, many different things going on right now. And I believe that I've watched the sentiment in the field, and people don't understand the importance of what Tom DeLong has done. And I believe that we absolutely need to sit back and look at this. This is not about the money. This is about something much more significant. You look at the people that are involved in the DeLong project, and we also have to sit back and wonder what is the game? Why are they doing this? What are they going to do with the technology and the information? And is the true goal to push the sort of evil alien agenda on a younger generation? I don't know. I would love to have Tom DeLong on the show. It is incredibly difficult to get to him, but these are questions that I think all of us would like to have answered. And I want to stress to all of you who are listening tonight, pay attention, sit back, watch the dynamics. Right now is a critical time in this field. And if you don't think there's something going on, then I don't know what to tell you, but because there absolutely is. So on that note, I'm hoping that we can get Fran back on the phone after our last break. Again, I want to thank all of you for reaching out, for supporting UFO Classified. I am here every week because of you, and I believe this is probably the most important thing I will do in my life. I believe that there is absolutely, without a doubt, and the evidence proves this, that there is something going on that we need to understand, we need to have respect for, and we need to study. I also think that all of you who have had experiences need to be respected, and there comes a point in time when we need to make this community better. We need to impose and really talk about professional and ethical standards in the field. So I'm Erica Lukes. We're going to get Fran Ridge back on. We will be back after the break.
Stand by.
This is UFO Classified with Erica Lukes.
Erica Lukes.
The phone lines are open now at 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio. More UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
With Erica Lukes on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. After this.
There's a show that's not afraid to ask questions no one else will ask. Not afraid to say
what no one else will say.
Friday nights at 7 p.m. Listen to Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie, where no topic is off limits. Conspiracy theories, paranormal activities, hoaxes, the unexplained. It's what we talk about. Question everything. Trust no one. Restricted Airspace with Tina Marie. Friday at 7 p.m. on the KCOR Digital Radio Network out of Las Vegas, Nevada.
This is the world-famous KCOR.
That's the only station I listen to. Alien Deceptions, a suspenseful sci-fi romance thriller by Tina Marie, featuring the tantalizing Erica Jones and the mysterious Russell Hamilton. An out-of-this-world book of fiction based on years of document facts and files the government does not want you to know about. At least, not yet. Alien Deceptions by Tina Marie. Available now at Amazon.com or get a signed copy at TinaMarieEntertainment.com. Get your copy now.
That's
good.
Turn your radio up.
I love it. All the music I want to hear.
This is my station.
Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific. Jump onto the Celestial Highway and travel at the speed of light. Into hyperspace. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven. She navigates you through the cosmic tides of mysticism into the world of covert technology, UFOs, mystical sciences, and the world of unforeseen forces.
You get to really sort of enjoy a bizarre ride.
Listen live, Friday night, 9 p.m. Pacific.
For Hyperspace.
The one show that blows the whistle off our government black ops projects. Hyperspace. Hosted by Solaris Blue Raven.
Solaris Blue Raven.
Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
Want to take a ride?
Looking for a radio show like no other?
We need something brand new.
Then tune into the KCOR Digital Radio Network, Tuesdays at 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern, and get ready for The Quantum Shift. A great shift of consciousness is sweeping across the Earth. Are you ready for the dimensional shift?
It is amazing, is it not?
The Quantum Shift, hosted by Dr. Sam Muggsy and Kent Dunn. Be part of the fifth dimensional reality, where consciousness prevails and the universal law of one is the only true reality. The Quantum Shift. Live Tuesdays, 6 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. Eastern. Exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network.
You're listening to
UFO Classified with Erica Lukes, where the truth isn't hidden beneath the black lines of a Sharpie.
That's the craziest thing I've ever heard.
To be on with Erica, call 702-425-9230. That's 702-425-9230. Worldwide callers use Skype name KCOR Radio.
Radio contact.
Share your thoughts on the show on Twitter by using hashtag KCOR. Or head over to the live chats at KCORradio.com.
The audience goes nuts!
And now, your host of UFO Classified.
Are you ready?
Erica Lukes.
Welcome back, and thank you for spending Friday evening with me and Fran Ridge. This is a truly groundbreaking show, and I hope that all of you will download this after and listen to it so you can get the fine details of what we've been talking about tonight. Fran Ridge is a project director and innovator, and he's been that since 1960. He was a NICAP subcommittee chairman and field investigator. He has spent a lot of time doing historical research, getting out in the field, and developing, most importantly, MADAR, which is the Multiple Anomaly Detection and Automated Recording System. Right now, you can go to the MADAR 3 data probe page, which is at www.nicap.org/materials2.htm to order your MADAR device. And this is great. It's only, and I have to say this, it's only $179, which to me, and granted, this is an investment, but if I'm going to put money into something, I would much rather, instead of subscribing to a monthly newsletter or doing things like that, I would rather do it where I was making a really significant contribution. And to me, this is it. So Fran, welcome back. Congratulations on all of your hard work and MADAR 3. I have my unit here, which you so graciously sent me, you and Rich, and all of the people working on MADAR, and I can't wait to see what results we will get here in Utah.
Well, we were glad to do that because you're a big supporter. You've been a big help to us with your radio show, and I think you've got some ideas that are going to pan out. We haven't discussed those yet, but whether you want to do it on tonight's show, I don't know. But one thing I wanted to tell everybody was there seems to be a lot of coincidences in my life, but I know that they're not. But when I did start that NICAP group, we had to have a panel of special advisors. So we had three gentlemen with special expertise, and one of them was a scientist. And Louis Blevins worked at Universal Scientific Company, and he had worked for Project Sign. We had, when you're going into high school, you go to the seminars to determine what you want to go into in life, whether you want to go into a scientific group or general group. And he was giving a talk, and he discussed some very interesting things. And when we got to talk to him later on, he mentioned that he worked on Project Saucer, which was the secret code, or it was the name for Project Sign. Sign was secret at the time. And he was one of the gentlemen that was working on the electromagnetic end of it, because the gentleman that was noticing his compass needle moving in Oregon at the same time that there was a visual sighting with Kenneth Arnold, and the Air Force analyzed that, and they made all kinds of predictions on how powerful the magnetic field must have been. And anyway, he said, what you guys need to do is build a detection system. So he provided me with photoelectric cells and all kinds of gadgetry to rig up the first one. And that's how the whole thing got started. So seems like a coincidence, but I really don't look at it that way, because we came up with some pretty good ideas and how to improve on it, and using light beams, and here we are.
And I'm so glad that you are. And to me, to have the conversation that we had the other day about the kind of the shortcomings in the field, and how it is really critical to move away from that and to do what you are doing. I mean, to me, it's an exciting time, and there's a lot of upheaval in the world, in the UFO community. And I think this is a good thing, because it is casting off old, outdated ideas, and it is forcing us to move in different directions. And I think this is exactly what's happening with where you're going. And that's great.
Well, there's definitely something going on that we're not, if you sit back and watch the news, occasionally somebody reports seeing something, and it's just a piece of lost news. Well, we're going to try to just create our own. So anxious anxious to see how your little adventure turns out.
Oh, I'm so excited! And this is going to be cool because I'm going to be taking it different places. But and I cannot wait. But I want to ask really quick because we've got somebody in the chat room is asking really good questions. And the first one is: the device still under development, or is it now in stable release?
Well, it's stable release, but we're learning how to do more with the data. And there's certain aspects of it that's still, prototype. I suspect within the next 6 to 8 weeks, we will have the system operating the way we had intended in the white paper. And right now, it's actually doing more than we thought it would ever do. But the plans on that we had devised originally, we hope to have fully functional, and then it's a simple add-on process because we have what we think might be somewhere in the neighborhood of $100 or maybe $75. We don't know exactly how much it'll be, but a Geiger counter that you can add to that, and then we'll have the full cycle similar to the MADAR 1 and MADAR 2, where we had radiation readings as well. One thing that the operators can do, if they've got an extra computer or they can use their Windows, they can go to the radiation lab's radiation site, and they have a map as well, and they can have a map on 2 different screens, or you could rig it up where you could see both screens, but you can see the radiation readings. And I've noticed that there have been radiation alerts in different places in the United States, and it makes you wonder because there's and the readings are higher now than they used to be, say 20 years ago. So there's stuff going on that we don't know about, and it'd be interesting if you could see, like Node 107 was picking up a magnetic anomaly at the same time that they were having some type of a radiation, alert in that area. So.
Okay, thank you for answering that. And then I have to ask, because we've got Dead Center Soul is asking a few more questions. What are the operating temperature limits for the device?
Well, I don't think you would have a problem unless you're wanting to put it in a place where the temperature would be very, very high. I'm not too sure what they meant by the question. It runs at a pretty normal low temperature. It has a way of cooling itself right now. We haven't had any that overheated so far. There's actually a heat sink that you can put with it if we thought it was going to be a problematic, but we don't think that there's any problem there. It's just a question of where to put it away from a lot of metal. When we moved, we were hauling material back and forth on a 2-wheel truck, and file cabinet went by the door and then actually set the device off, But most of the time, the inverse square of the distance will protect you on metal objects. You want to keep it away from heavy electronics,
Okay, and then another question, which you and I both talked about, is are the instrument data necessarily uploaded to the MADAR server, or can they be confined to local storage if the measurement context and location are sensitive?
Read that back to me again. I'm not too sure I understood that.
So is the data uploaded automatically to the MADAR server, or can they be confined to local storage if this is a sensitive location?
Oh, well, it's stored on the device and sent to the server at the same time, and then of course the device doesn't hold as much as the server does. And then if you're in a position if you had a what I would call a field unit where you would have to switch off the power, or work near a Wi-Fi site or or an Ethernet cable, then the device would store it until you got to a point where you would Wi-Fi it or Ethernet it to the server. So there might be an interruption where it receives it at the server, but the data is still being collected by the device.
Okay. And I mean, this is interesting because I mean, there are places that I have gone in Arizona in particular where I'm doing field research, and it is a consideration that this location doesn't get out to the public for various reasons. One, because this is a sacred site, and two, because we just, I mean, there are lots of, I'm not even going to go into it, but so I think that when you go into these sensitive locations, people that are researching this want to make sure that this location specifically is kept kind of off the radar.
Oh, yes. Actually, no one would notice that, for instance, the reading would still be going to the node at Salt Lake City. They would not know actually where it was. We would know because you'd tell us, you would give us a heads up on where you're going to be and when. We would know and you would know, but no one else would know.
Okay, and this is incredible. And I want to ask you, because we're getting ready to wrap up the show, and again, I want to say, and I know that Tina said this to you on the break, I mean, thank you for everything that you've done, and for wanting to really make a contribution and push things forward. And I think that, we see people that have been in this field for a long, long time, and I mean, you lose your luster, and you have not done that. I mean, you are so fired up about MADAR and the direction this is going, and the fact that this really is a game changer. I love that. And I also think it's very cool to talk to you and have you talk about your personal experiences and how this is, nobody can argue with you about what you have experienced.
Well, in a way, I consider it a little selfish on my part, because if for instance, if I had to buy 20 devices and find somebody that would operate them, that would be worth it to me. But here I have people that are willing to do it on their own. So it's very interesting and exciting that we're able to do that, because there's no limit how many devices that will actually be out there. And friends will be putting devices in, some of their friends' locations, and it will sort of, be like a grassroots thing and develop slowly but surely. But I feel kind of selfish in a way. I'm compelled to do it, and I've always wanted to do something different anyway. So I'm very optimistic about it. I really think that we're going to discover some new avenues.
So with all of your experiences, I mean, what you have been in this, you've researched, you've seen the waves come and go and the people come and go. What are the constants in your world with regard to this research?
What are the constants?
So what are the things that you feel that are most profound? What are things that like when you started researching this decades ago, what are the things that haven't changed for you as far as what this is, or have they?
Actually, in my case, I haven't gone from a believer to a disbeliever, or one that's demanding more. And I guess you understand it more than the others, because I've told you a lot of things that's happened to me. But I'm convinced that this is an ongoing thing, and that it hasn't just started in the last 40 or 50 years. It probably started long before that. But whatever it is real. It involves us. I'm hoping it is for our benefit as well. I kind of feel like if it wasn't, the outcome would have been a lot different already. It's almost as if someone does have an interest and also the desire not to create, a problem like you would see it in a Hollywood movie. It's sort of refreshing that way, but it's agonizing that we're human beings and we want to know the answer. We want to know. We see a lot of people that we talk to and express the same ideas, and they're no longer with us, and they never lived to see it. So my father was that way. He was a disbeliever at first, and then he was convinced by my the events that happened to me. And one day he said, "Well, what are you going to do about it?" Well, I did. I did something, and it was something that was subtle at first and got more complicated as the years went on. But he never got to see the answer. So,
and it's also
I do.
you will, and we have Becky on the line, and she's been patiently holding. So I want to bring Becky on really quickly to ask you the final question for the evening.
Yeah.
Hello there.
Hello.
Becky, you are so patient. Thank you.
Oh, no problem, Erica. Love your show. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
Fran, when you were on with Erica last time, you mentioned a photographic technique where we can detect Faraday rotation. Is there a website where we can see examples of that? I got some unusual effects, but I didn't know if maybe I just had an out-of-focus light or if I got something unusual.
Yeah, well, the only mention of it on the NICAP site is in the case by Wells Allen Webb, and but it blew me away because he noticed there were concentric circles, waves of polarization when he had the glasses on, but when he took the glasses off, there were no rings, and that just amazed me. And I'm thinking, of course, somebody can make this up, but this guy was a scientist, and I believed him, and I thought, well, how many other times has people had the opportunity where all they had to do was put on a pair of Polaroid glasses and detect these lines of polarization? So they're trying to do that with cameras now, so that when the detectors go off, it will, take the pictures and show the Faraday rings. But, I've always been against the camera and a detector because when the detector goes off and it turns on a circuit, there's so many different places that the camera could be aiming and different times of the day. And then, of course, you have to have the camera protected, and it's usually covered by a dirty bubble. And you go out and inspect it in the middle of nowhere, and it just doesn't work. It's just not going to work.
Okay. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you so much for calling in. That's an incredible question. Thank you. And thanks for supporting the show. So, Fran, this is what I am telling you about, like, my audience. I mean, they are incredible.
Oh, yeah. That was a great question.
I know.
Most people would probably not pay any attention to that type of sighting, but that was an amazing sighting. In fact, it was discussed during the hearings before the House Committee on Science and Astronautics. It was one of the things that was brought out. Of course, they didn't pay much attention to it, but it was one of the cases brought to the hearings.
And this is the thing. There are so many people out here who don't get kind of caught up in quote unquote ufology, but are really dedicated and thoughtful and respectful. And I love that, because just looking in chat or having, Becky call in, I mean, they ask questions that are really important. And if all of us could use all that, all of our ingenuity and just moving forward, we could make great contributions. So this has to be very cool and empowering for you.
Well, this is a situation where somebody who bought a device can come up with a great idea, or may have an incident occur where they get the kind of evidence everybody's been searching for. It doesn't require someone manning a military site or a scientific outpost. It's just a lot of us normal people out there with simple devices that can really change things, and no telling where this is going to go.
Well, I have no doubt that this is going to go somewhere incredible because, like I said, for me, as an investigator here in Utah, I can look at the data from MADAR and then I can look at different case reports coming in and have a little bit better of a handle. And I think this is going to really be critical, especially when I'm out doing field research. So I love it. This is so cool, Fran. And I'd want to, again, mention Rich because he is incredible, kind, and I would love to get him on the show. I told him, and you've got to tell him he needs to come on the show because he's got so much information to share.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will be doing that. But I was going to say, can you imagine what it's going to be like when we talk a year from now? But I'm sure that we're going to be talking more often than that. I'm just as confident of that as I can be because we're going to be doing so much more with what we've got. And I already know about a lot of the ideas, and they just blow my mind to think that this is just around the corner, you know. So you'll be hearing from Rich, and we'll be doing some shows before the first anniversary comes up. And,
well,
maybe we'll have a blockbuster case to go with it.
Oh, I have a good feeling. And I want to say that I'm going to be, I mentioned to you that I'm speaking at different conferences and I want to have MADAR there and tell people about the importance of them and things like that. And I want to say one of my listeners, Northern UFOs, just purchased a device. So now there are going to be 2 in Canada.
Wow, that's cool.
I know.
I was thinking what we might do, since at this point we're not well enough financially to have a number of these devices on a table, and not only that, they would have to be programmed and demonstrated. It'd be logistically it would be hard to do. But what we might do is create a video, and not only have like a YouTube video, but one that you could give out free, and where people could pop it in their CD player or DVD player and learn everything that we tried to get across tonight, so that they might want to buy a device or they.
Absolutely, we'll do it. I mean, I spoke at UFO Congress last February, and I talked about MADAR and you, and I just think this is so cool for me, and I want to thank you for again being a mentor and being a friend. And I know good things are going to happen. We've got to wrap up the show. But I will be posting links so you can get in there, learn more about MADAR, purchase the device, and we can all work together. I want to thank Fran Ridge for being so incredible. All of you, thanks for getting in there and being active. So spread the word. Stick around for Tina Marie because she will rock it out. She has got Nancy Tremaine on tonight, and I think this is going to be very enlightening. So stick around for a great night. Have a safe and fantastic weekend. I will catch you next Friday.
Listen very carefully.
This is Houston. Say again, please. Houston, we've had a problem.
This is UFO Classified, live every Friday night, 4 p.m. Pacific, 7 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the KCOR Digital Radio Network. The truth is out there, just waiting to be discovered.
And now, if you will, accompany me on a journey to the future.
For more information on the host of UFO Classified, Erica Lukes, upcoming guests, as well as links to the past shows,
visit her website at UFOclassified.com.
UFO Classified.
UFO Classified.
This is KCOR Las Vegas, home of the Digital Radio Network, broadcasting from a shack just south of Area 51.
Wait, that doesn't exist.
This is the KCOR Digital Radio Network. Now for the news.